we shall start. Who was the student who asked this question, that how did I get lambda 2 greater than 0 in the last class? Is he present now?
Yes, sir, I am there.
Yeah, so I wrote an explanation in the file. Did you see that?
Yes, sir, I saw it. I understood.
Okay. Even then, let me tell it now a little bit so that. So here, I am trying to say that lambda 2 is greater than 0. So the only possibility for lambda 2 is that it can be, it is lambda 2 is already greater than equal to 0. So if it is not positive, then the only possibility is that lambda 2 equal to 0. Okay. So if then lambda 2 equal to 0, then in order to keep the second coordinate negative, you have to have w negative. Okay. So looking at second coordinate, we have w negative. The moment you have w negative, notice that we have to have the first coordinate positive. So the first coordinate positive could have come from lambda 4 and could have come from w, but w is now negative. So this will ensure that lambda 4 is positive. And in a similar way, it will ensure that lambda 6 is also positive. But then lambda 4 G4 at A equal to 0, which basically means G4 was X, so which basically means X equal to 0, and similarly lambda 6 is positive, implies Z equal to 0. So the point has to be, because it has to satisfy the plane X plus 2y plus 3Z equal to 3, so it has to be 1.5. But then this point does not belong to the feasible set, because the feasible set is the unit cube between 0 and 1. So obviously this one will not satisfy the G1 constraint, right? A G2 constraint, which is about y. So it is not in T. So that's why equal to 0 is not possible. In any case, I think I had overlooked this part. So that is why it took me some few minutes to give the argument. Okay. Otherwise, the deductions are the same. Even if it is not the same, not understood by you, you will understand it today. So in particular, we want to talk about these things for linear programming problems. So let's say what happens right now. Today we will talk about that. So what is that we want to talk about now? We want to talk about minimizing x1 plus x2 subject to, this is our favorite set, right? x1 less than equal to 1, x2 less than equal to 1, x1 greater than equal to 0, x2 greater than equal to 0. That's what we want to do, and find out find out the KT points. That's what the question asks. Find out the KT points. So in order to find out the KT points, I have to write down G1, G2, G3, G4. So better I will write. So G1 is equivalent to, so G1 is 1 minus x1, and G2 is 1 minus x2, G3 is x1, and G4 is x2. So that is the first step. And then we want to write the x. There are no equality constraints over here. Okay. So for that, you can now I want to find out the KT points. If I want to find out the KT points, this is, I think I did not follow the format. Rather, what I will start like, let A be a KT point, capital KT point. Let A be a KT point. So what does that mean? So there exists, right now we do not have W, so there exists lambda greater than, lambda is a vector, such that what? Now such that grad L A lambda is equal to 0. Oh, of course, before that, such that, okay, after comma I will write A belongs to T. It's in the feasible set. And what? And lambda I GIA equal to 0 for I equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's what I will do. So now what is this one? Grad LA lambda. So that basically means grad F is I have 1, 1 is equal to lambda 1 times the first one minus 1, 0 plus lambda 2 times this lambda. So there exists lambda greater than 0, that is a vector. This is vector. Zero minus 1 plus lambda 3 1, 0 plus lambda 4 0, 1. This has to be satisfied. Okay, this is the grad LA lambda equal to 0 means this only. Now for this has to be satisfied, because the first coordinate is positive, I must have, so we must have lambda 3 greater than 0, lambda 4 greater than 0. That basically shows you cannot have lambda 3 and lambda 1 both positive. So this basically means x equal to 0 and x1 equal to 0 and x2 equal to 0, and the point, so A is equal to 0, 0. Now to say this is a KT point, what do I have to do? I say take lambda equal to what? Now lambda equal to 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay. In fact, because lambda 3 is positive, it follows that lambda 1 is 0, and this one is lambda 2 is 0. So it follows that way. In any case, you just give a value to lambda and take lambda equal to this. Then I have A equal to 0, 0 first is in the set. Also, I have grad L A lambda equal to 0, and I also have lambda I G I A equal to 0 for all I. So A equal to 0, 0 is the only KT point. Only KT point. Okay, fine. On the same set, consider something else, like it is written over here. What is that? Now I want to maximize. Of course, if you want, was in the previous this thing, you wanted to minimize x1 plus x2 over this square, unit square over this unit square. So x1 plus x2 will definitely be minimized at 0, 0. But our solution gave us only one KT point. Notice that? And it was the minimum. What about the maximum? Now, if I want to maximum, I would have the same constraints I would have, but then I would have converting it to minimization form, it will be minimize minus x1 minus x2. So this is f. So grad L will convert to grad f will be now -1 -1 is equal to lambda 1 into -1 0 plus lambda 2 into 0 -1 plus lambda 3 into 1 0. This is from G3 plus lambda 4 into 0 1. This is from G4. And so it follows that lambda 1 has to be positive and lambda 2 has to be positive, because ultimately you have to make it -1 -1, and therefore lambda 3 lambda 4 they will be 0. So the point is lambda 1 is positive, it basically means g1 is equal to 0, so point is 1 1. Okay, so that means x1 equal to 1, x2 equal to 1. So point is 1 1. Then I would write that take lambda is equal to 1 comma 1 comma 0 comma 0. Then the same line, then a belongs to t because 1 1 is in t. Grad L a lambda equal to 0, that is true because it satisfies, and lambda I gi a equal to 0 for all I. So a equal to 1 1 is the only Kt point. The same way. Okay, you got only one Kt point, that is 1 1, and that was supposed to be the maximum. Okay, x1 plus x2, that is maximum at 1 1. Fine. Let's check one more. The same set, and I have fx equal to x1. If I have fx equal to x1, the same thing you repeat. Only thing is that grad f will change, is equal to lambda 1 times -1 0 plus lambda 2 times 0 -1 plus lambda 3 times 1 0 coming from G3 plus lambda 4 times 0 1, this is coming from G4, and so that would force lambda 3 greater than 0. So if lambda 3 is greater than 0, that forces x1 is equal to 0. Okay, because lambda 3 G3 has to be 0 at the point, so x1 is equal to 0. So the point is, point A is 0 t t belonging to 0 1. These are the points available. Okay, now what do? Now I do the same thing. Take lambda is equal to 0 0 1 0. Then the same thing, a belongs to t, that is true. All these a are in t. Grad L a lambda is equal to 0. That is what I have done. All the lambdas I have taken 0. Only lambda 3 is positive, but then there it is satisfied because lambda 3 I have taken 1. Okay, so 1 0 is equal to 1 0. It is satisfied. And lambda I gi a is equal to 0 for all I. This is true because 3 lambdas are 0. Wherever it is not 0, there I have x coordinate of a, that is 0. Okay, so these are Kt points. So it is not that I will get only one Kt point, but I will get many Kt points also. I may get, for example, I have got a family of Kt points here. But what was the thing? Now I wanted to minimize x1, and all these points are points of minimum. Okay, so what you are seeing is that somehow surprisingly you are seeing that in this problem, whenever I am finding KT points, they are the optimum points. Okay, like everything has to be converted to the minimization problem, so they are points of minimum. The question is this true in general? The answer is yes, it is true in general. Okay, that if you take a m by n real matrix and consider minimizing fx equal to c transpose x over the set over the set T, which is equal to x, such that ax greater than equal to b, and suppose that A is a KT point, then A is a point of minimum. Now, how do I show that? Now, the same way, I have seen 3 examples. So what do I do? Now, first, I have to write down the constraints. What are my constraints? Now, let me write GI. So A matrix is like this. Okay. And this is X. The X could be like X1, X2, Xn. This is M by N. Okay. And greater than equal to, this is B1, B2, Bm. Okay. Bm. Okay. So what is the first constraint? Now the first constraint is G1. And that would read like A11 X1 plus like this A1n Xn minus B1 greater than equal to 0, because I have to write it in the form greater than equal to 0. Okay, so that's how it is. And what is Gm? So I have m number of constants for each row. Gm is equal to am1 x1 plus amn xn minus bm greater than equal to 0. In a standard way, if you want to write, then Gi is actually equal to the ith row of A, ith row, that means first coordinate I, second coordinate varying, multiplied by x, okay, minus bi. This is the Gi. Okay, so I have written down the constraints. Fine, and I am minimizing C transpose X. So first step is done. Next, what is that? Now I want to right now I am not finding KT point. KT point has been given to me. So I want to show that A is a point of minimum. So I have to maybe use some properties of KT point. What is that? Okay, let me first assume for simplicity. So let G1 up to Gk be active. Active where? Active at A. G1, G2, Gk are active at A. What does it mean? Now it means A11 x1 up to A1n xn is equal to B1. That satisfies equality. So that gives me a supporting hyperplane. Okay, a hyperplane passing through A. Fine, a hyperplane that is passing through A. So when so basically that, and like supporting the whole set on the positive side. So it gives me a supporting hyperplane. Fine. In that case, A is a KT point. A is a KT point means what? A is given. I have to use that also. Given A is a KT point. What does that mean? A is a KT point. Now, A is a KT point means there exist here. There are no equality constraints. So this means there exists lambda greater than equal to 0. Lambda is a vector here, such that A is already in the set, so that I don't have to bother. Such that what? Now, such that grad L A lambda is equal to 0, and of course that lambda I gi at A equal to 0 for all I. That is given. Acha, grad LA. So that basically means grad F. What is grad F? Now grad F is C. Is equal to what? Now is equal to lambda 1 times grad G1. Now grad G1 is what? Now A11 up to ANN. So that's lambda 1 times A11, A12, like this, A1N, plus up to lambda K times, because it is grad, so you have to write column wise. Okay, gradient. Okay, so AK1 up to AKN, plus also lambda K plus 1 into similar things up to lambda M grad GM is AM1 up to AMN. Okay, that's how it is. Acha. Now, but you said na lambda I gi A equal to 0, right? I said that, and I also said that G1 to GK are active, right? That is also I said. So what does that mean for GK plus 1? Now GK plus 1 is inactive. So GK plus 1 A will be positive. In that case, it will not satisfy the equality. It will be positive. And therefore, lambda K plus 1 has to be 0. Okay. So what do I get? Now C is a combination of this. Let me write it by taking transpose. This basically means C transpose is equal to lambda 1 times A11 to A1N plus lambda K times AK1 up to AKN. That's what I am getting. So what I have got? Now there exists lambda greater than equal to 0 with lambda K plus 1 equal to 0 up to lambda N equal to 0, such that C transpose is a combination of this. But do you remember what is this matrix? This matrix A11 up to A1N, AK1 up to AKN. This matrix is nothing but A subscript small a. These are precisely the corresponding to the supporting hyperplanes that are at A. And if you remember, one of our very old results, when we said which kind of objective functions are minimized at A, and there we had a theorem. It said that an objective function C transpose is minimized, fx equal to C transpose x is minimized at A if and only if, remember, if and only if C transpose is a non-negative combination of the rows of AA. Okay, so it basically says C transpose is a non-negative combination. So non-negative combination here. Note that AA is a combination of rows of AA. And so Fx equal to C transpose X is minimized at A. Okay, that is what it means. Okay, we like the converse is also true. If we have Fx equal to, as I said, it is if and only if we have Fx equal to C transpose X minimized by A, then we know that it is a non-negative combination of A. That part has been proved. Now let me the proof of this theorem is over. That if I am trying to minimize Fx equal to C transpose X over a set feasible set X such that X greater than equal to B, and I somehow find a KT point, then this is necessarily a point of minimum. Okay, and the converse is also true. So this is the proof written. Okay, this converse is also true because what? Now suppose that you are at a point of minimum. Okay, you are looking at looking to solve one solve what? Now I want to solve minimize Fx equal to C transpose X subject to Ax greater than equal to B. This is what I am trying to minimize. This is the problem given. And then what? Now suppose somehow I am at a point A. Okay, I am at a point A. Fine. And somebody tells me that it is a point of minimum. Fine. It is a point of minimum. Okay. So my question is, must it be a KT point? That is the converse of this question, the previous theorem. Whether it is a KT point or not. Now look, because it is a point of minimum, there is FONC and FONC has to be satisfied. What is FONC? Now for all D in D closure, all feasible directions, okay, you must have grad F for, so this is FONC, huh? For each D in D closure A, because A is a point of minimum, we have grad F inner product D, grad F A inner product D greater than equal to 0. That is fine. But then because the constants are linear, what do I know when constants are linear? Now when constants are linear, D closure A is equal to DA is equal to linearizing cone at A. That also we know earlier. So what I am saying now, for each D in the linearizing cone, I have grad F inner product D greater than equal to 0. What does that mean? It means ZA is empty. Remember ZA what? Now ZA is the intersection of D such that grad F D inner product is negative and D belonging to the linearizing cone. But that will come out to be empty here. And since ZA is empty, it is a KT point, because ZA empty is equivalent to that it is a KT point. There exists lambda, the generalized Lagrange multiplier theorem. Okay, so the converse is true. So for the linear programming problem, point of minimum means a KT point. KT point means a minimum. That's what it means. Okay. So therefore, did you find another way to solve an LPP? Now yes. How? Now just try to find the KT points. The moment you find a KT point, that's a point of minimum. You don't have to do anything. Okay, fine. Now, how do I check whether a given KT point, whether a given point is a KT point or not? Okay, so that can be done by using simplex method, at least. So I am happy here because I can use some my computers here. Okay, so let's see what is that. So why it is possible? Now look, if a point is given to me and I want to check whether it is a KT point or not, what all I have to do? Now, if the point is given, you will compute grad f, you will compute all grad gi, you will compute all grad hj, everything you will compute, and you will try to find the point is already in T, so that part of the definition of KT point is already gone. I will try to find, I will try to see for a KT point there are three parts. Na? Part one is A belongs to T, which is already given to me. A is a point of T. Second is I have to find lambda greater than equal to 0 and W, where W is coming from R, I mean Rn or something, where Rp, there are P many constants. So such that grad L, Al, lambda, W, that has to be 0. Okay, I have to find that. And with what? Now with the condition that lambda I gi A equal to 0. Okay, so the thing is that as soon as A is given to me, I can compute grad f, I can compute grad gi, I can compute grad hj. Fine. Now it is a matter of finding lambda greater than equal to 0 and W. So for example, here I want to minimize this one. This is the problem given: minimize x1 cube minus 5x2 such that g1 equal to this, g2 and h is also given. At what point? At a equal to 1, 0.5. I want to check whether it is a KT point or not. Okay. Now what do I do? Now before I start anything, I first of all I want to find out the active constants. Okay. Why? Now actually, if you remember, the definition of the linearizing cone only constituted active constants, and for the inactive constants we substituted, after getting the lambdas, for the inactive constants we substituted the lambdas to be 0. So I already know for the inactive things the lambdas will be 0 if at all it is a KT point. So why computing for all those extra things? Anyway, computation takes time. So let me first find out what are the active ones. So I substitute 1 and 0.5 here. I find G1 is active. Okay, G1, only G1 is active here. Okay, so I understood that if this point has to come to be a KT point, then lambda 2 is going to be 0, because anyway it is inactive. Okay, because it is inactive, so it is clear that clear from this condition 3. Okay, from condition 3 that there is lambda 2 is going to be 0, so I am not bothering for it right now. Okay, next. So if A is a KT point, then lambda is equal to 0. So this is what I was trying to explain. So this will reduce some of our work as opposed to directly, I mean, starting with, I mean, otherwise if you first solve it, it will take time. So don't do that. So now you understand. So if A is a KT point, let me see the problem. So if A is a KT point, then what is going to happen? Now assume A is a KT point, then what should happen? Now grad f is what? Now grad f will be 3 minus 5 should be equal to lambda 1 times, what is this? 2 minus 2 plus w times 1 minus 2. And I am supposed to find, I mean, there exists, if at all it is a kt point, I should have lambda 1 greater than equal to 0, w belonging to R. So essentially, I am looking for lambda 1 greater than equal to 0, w belonging to R, satisfying this. If I can have, with of course the lambda AGI conditions happening, if I can have, then that will be nice. Okay, fine. So this one will reduce to the following set. This is basically, if I write it in this way, I can write it in as 2 lambda 1 plus w is equal to 3, and then minus 2 lambda 1 minus 2w is equal to minus 5. Okay, but the same thing I erase this. I write it as 2 lambda 1 plus 2w equal to 5 instead of this one. Okay, and w is belonging to R, so I then write it as 2 lambda 1 plus w1 minus w2 equal to 3, 2 lambda 1 plus 2w1 minus 2w2 equal to 5. And here what? Now here lambda 1, w1, w2 greater than equal to 0. Okay, because w belongs to R, it can be written as the difference of two non-negative variables. That this trick we have used many times. So essentially, I am searching to solve this set of equations for non-negative solutions. Okay, and in that case, essentially, I am trying to check whether this set T, which is lambda 1, w1, w2, is non-empty. Okay, but then you remember this set has lambda 1, w1, w2 all greater than equal to 0. That means this set is bounded below. Now this set, because it is intersection of hyperplanes bounded below all of them, if it is non-empty, it will have a vertex. That I know from my old theories that we have developed. That is correct. Which basically means if I am trying to find the initial basic feasible solution, I should be able to find, because a basic feasible solution is actually equal to, is actually the vertex. So in case this set is non-empty, then I will have it. Okay. So then this can be achieved by trying to solve the LPP. What do I do? So I want to find out the initial basic feasible solution. As we proceed, we introduce the artificial variables, the same 2 lambda 1 minus w1 minus plus w1 minus w2 plus y1, that is the artificial variable, equal to 3. 2 lambda 1 plus 2w1 minus 2w plus y2 equal to 5. And we start with the initial BFS. And the initial, I mean the initial, what is this? y1, y2, the initial artificial BFS. And we try to minimize y1 plus y2. And we remember that our theory there, it says if I can reduce it to 0, the minimum value reduced to 0, which I can do over here. This is where I do. What do I get? I get it from here that lambda 1 is equal to half, and this is the solution that I get. W1 is equal to 2. This is the solution. And non-basic, of course, W2, W2 being non-basic over here, this is 0. So half to 0, and therefore this gives me a solution of lambda equal to half. Ultimately, it gives me a solution that lambda equal to half and W equal to W1 minus W2, which is 2. Okay, so that will be satisfied. Okay, and then what else? Now lambda I gi will be equal to 0. Now lambda I gi will be equal to 0. Why? Now see, in any case you have already thrown away those points which are what is that? Where is it? Yeah. So in any case you have thrown away. Okay, so here you have thrown away the inactive constraints. Since you have thrown away the inactive constraints, those were the points where gi could have been positive. So rest of the gi that you are dealing with, they are all zeros. Whether you find lambda equal to 50 or lambda equal to 0, it doesn't matter. The product will be 0 because the gi's that I am dealing with in this, they are already 0 at the point A. Okay, so that will be satisfied. So no need to check that. As soon as I get a solution like this, I am done. This is a KT point. Any doubt here? You have any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, good. But the only problem with this thing is that a point A has to be given to me. Then I can check. That is the problem, I mean, that I have to live with. I mean, there is nothing. In any case, many things has to be done by hand. So this one at least helping me a little bit, that I can use my machine to check the points, this point or that point or that point, whether it is a KT point. But this is just a partial help. I mean, for like I have to take a point and then check, take a point and check, take a point and check. Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, so come back to our main this thing. Regularity condition. What are the regularity condition? Under those conditions, these are the conditions under which I am always using, under which when the condition is satisfied, under this small KTCQ1. So under this, a point of minimum must be a KT point. Okay, if this happens, okay, a point of minimum has to be a KT point. So then I will be happy, because in such problems I directly go and find out the KT points, and then I will devise some sufficient conditions to test whether which of those points, if I am lucky, turns out to be minimum. Okay, so the first order condition, I will only talk about the first order Kuhn-Tucker constraint qualification. Okay, KTCQ1 standing for the first order. Okay, this is my way of writing short form. This is no other book probably writes KTCQ1. Okay, this is my way of writing things, so non-standard. But nevertheless, what is this? Now remember, you are trying to talk about KT points. Okay, so you are always dealing with the linearizing cone. Okay, so that is where the things have come. Okay, So suppose that you are looking at a point A and you are looking at the linearizing cone over there. Okay, the linearizing cone. Now, if for each D, direction vector D in the linearizing cone, for each, okay, you have to do it for each and every. You forget it. Let take a direction first. Take a direction in the linearizing. Suppose that you can find a continuously differentiable curve alpha t, a C1 curve. This is a C1 curve. Huh? C1 curve alpha t, such that alpha 0 is A, okay, and then some segment, initial segment of that alpha t should lie in T. That is, there exists some epsilon greater than 0 such that alpha t is inside the feasible set for all t belonging to 0 to epsilon. That is the second. That means the initial part of the curve, there should be a part of the curve starting from 0, containing the 0th point, that is A, and such that D has to be the uh, tangent. Alpha t minus alpha 0 by t, the positive tangent, okay, from the positive side. D has to be that limit, okay. This is one-sided tangent, but since we are taking continuously differentiable, it will be both-sided only. So, but don't bother, we only limit this. These three conditions are satisfied. Suppose you can find some curve. If you have selected D this way, maybe there is a curve inside T that goes to A like this, where the final tangent is like D. Okay, no problem. And that curve is inside T, a little part of the curve. Then you say KTCQ1 holds. And this has to be true for all D, not just one D, but for all direction D in the linearizing cone. Okay, so this has to be satisfied for all D. If that is satisfied, so that means every direction in the linearizing cone can be seen as the tangent at 0 to a C1 curve at A. Okay, so at A, you tell at A, both the thing. Okay, so every direction in the linearizing cone can be seen as a tangent to some C1 curve, continuously differentiable curve inside T. That's what the Kuhn-Tucker constant qualification is. Okay. Let us take first example. KTCQ1 at interior points. So consider P2. P2 is what? Now minimize fx subject to gi x greater than equal to 0, I running from 1 to m, and hjx equal to 0, j running from 1 to p. Suppose that A is an interior point, whether KTCQ1 holds at the interior point or not. That is the question. Okay. Now, what is the definition of KTCQ1? Now, definition of KTCQ1 says for each direction in the linearizing cone, something has to be satisfied. Some three conditions are to be satisfied. Okay, I have to find a continuously differentiable curve. But then each direction in the linearizing cone. So what is the linearizing cone first? At an interior point. Now at an interior point, we already know that dA is Rn. All feasible directions is in Rn. Like dA is that. All feasible direction. And therefore, the linearizing cone will be Rn only. I mean, it is after all set of direction, it cannot be more than Rn. Na? It is Rn only. So, okay. The linearizing cone is Rn. So, what am I supposed to do? Now, I am thinking at an interior point, whether and for any d given in Rn, I will be able to find a continuously differentiable curve which tangent at A is equal to d. Now, of course, I can find. How? Now, because it is a interior point, so there is some radius. Let's say this radius is r. Okay, this is a. B radius r a is contained in T. Okay, because A is an interior point, and that is fine, true, no problem. Now, what are direction? Now, suppose that I have a direction, any direction. I have one direction D. Suppose I have a direction D. Fine, no problem. You have some direction D. Now, in that case, why am I looking for curve? Like this curve does not mean curve only. No? I mean, curve always includes the straight lines also. Na? So, I can take alpha t to be equal to the point A plus t times d only for some small t. What small t? Now this radius is r, so I can safely go up to r by 2. See, if d is equal to 0, I do not have to show anything. I can take t anything, and this is the constant curve. So like you do not do anything. Okay. Actually, what is that? Where is that? Here in the definition, you don't actually. I might be writing this. You remember, this one is non-zero direction d. In the definition for in non-zero direction d, because if d equal to 0, the curve is constant curve and the derivative will be 0. It will not be that also will be equal to anyway. Yeah, no problem. I don't bother. So anyway, that like you don't have to say anything, because d equal to 0, alpha t is a, so derivative is 0 anyway. So that's not at all a problem. So I take d not equal to 0. Now, because d is not equal to 0, how far can you go? How far t go? Now, t can go from 0 to, assuming d non-zero, r by 2 d norm. I can safely go up to this part. So that will take me up to at the base to the middle, the straight line. So this alpha t is this much only, a to this much, because when I multiply that, that will at best take me to that much only. Okay. So d by d norm is the unit vector in that direction, and I am going up to r by 2 part. Okay, so that basically means I will go up to that part. So that is my vector. Okay, fine. So that is my curve. Curve is, So r of 0 is equal to a. R of something is here. R is moving slowly as t goes away. R also goes away. Like as t goes away, the alpha t will go away from a to this point, whatever this point you can call this x. Okay, so that is the curve. So I have taken the straight line. Actually it is a ray, part of the ray, kind of that is going away from this. Okay, so what is the derivative? Of course, the derivative will be that direction t only, na? Because and it lies inside t, because alpha t, as you have defined, alpha t is always lying inside this ball itself. In fact, in half of the ball. And that is, the ball is inside t, so alpha t is inside t, alpha 0 is a. And what is the derivative? Now the derivative is what? Now it is limit t going to 0 plus alpha t minus alpha 0, which is a only, okay, divided by t. But then alpha t is a plus td, alpha 0 is a, so subtract that, you get t times d divided by t, you will get this limit to be d only. Okay, so what does it say? It says every point of interior, at every point of interior, KTCQ1 holds. Okay, so this is that. Then there is so KTCQ1 holds at every point of interior. Okay, then there is another example. This will take much longer time. Anyway, I do not have. I will cover it on the next class. Questions? Any questions? Okay, then we stop.